we are recording this meeting, so everybody needs to know if you that you will be recorded. Everybody is joining as an attendee, so you probably only see the 4 of us on the screen and whatever we show. Depending on the number of people, when we get to the Q&A part, and we want that to be a very interactive part, we may allow everybody to become a panelist so we can see your face if you so wish. Otherwise, if there are too many people, we will unmute people as they want to speak, or you can put your questions in the chat and we will be monitoring that too. We will not address the question until we have finalized with the presentations. It's a great day. A lot of great things are happening. You probably follow in the news what the governor has changed in terms of restriction for California. The campus is about to open almost fully. We are very excited. This is the day we have been waiting for since a year and a half. So it's hard to believe it's happening. And what we'll talk about today is also extremely exciting. We have some great news to share with all of you. And let me just share my screen and start with this interactive setting. And the first presentation will be by our provost. So Liz, you have the floor.
Thank you. And thank you to Vice Chancellor Torres for the introduction. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to be here with us. Can you go to the next slide, please, Rodolfo? Today, we're hoping to engage in a broader dialogue about developing a comprehensive vision for sustainability on our campus. And I thought maybe I would start by addressing what do we mean by sustainability? One definition of sustainability is meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. In addition to natural resources, we also need social and economic resources. And so sustainability is not just environmentalism. Embedded in this definition are concerns for social equity and economic development. To capture this expansive vision for sustainability, we've developed the concept of Oasis. And this is the acronym that stands for Opportunities to Advance Sustainability, Innovation, and Social Inclusion. Like our achievements in student success, this new vision should be informed by culture and people. By culture, I mean our longstanding commitment at UCR to research, inclusive excellence, and societal impact, which date back to our founding. By people, I mean all of you, all of us, the faculty, staff, and students who come to UCR because you're inspired by our mission and values. It's only by leveraging our culture and our people can we then create the next generation of sustainability initiatives and programs that reflect our values and priorities. Next slide, please. Since our founding, UCR has been committed to issues of sustainability, starting back at the turn of the last century with research into using insects to control other insects rather than chemical pesticides, and continuing with research on the impact of smog on plants and drought resistance. And today, UCR is active in areas such as renewable energy, transportation, and health disparities. We have a sustainability major for our undergrads, just to mention a few. While many of these activities are occurring in separate departments and organizations, some have grown into interdisciplinary initiatives, engaging groups and individuals in multiple schools and colleges. And so we're at a unique inflection point now, with the relocation of the California Air Research Board to Riverside, to think more broadly about sustainability efforts campus-wide and in the broader Inland Empire. We have our ongoing strategic planning process to help us think together about charting our course into the future. We also have legislators who are eager to invest in our efforts, and Rodolfo will say more about that in a moment. So today, we'd like to hear from you and how you might envision Oasis connecting with the work you do at UCR. But first, let me ask Vice Chancellor Torres to provide more detail about how we are thinking about Oasis, where things stand now, and where they might go in the future before we open it up for a discussion. So Rodolfo, back over to you.
Thank you, Provost Walking, for setting the stage and showing how sustainability permeates through all the activities we do on campus. The other component of Oasis, one big component of Oasis, is also innovation. So in order to set up the stage also about some of the many things that the Office of Technology Partnership has been doing over the years, I want to let Rosibel Ochoa to talk about exactly that, our contribution to innovation and commercialization. Rosibel, please.
Thank you, Rodolfo. Thank you, Liz, for the opportunity to actually participate in this forum and be able to share some of the infrastructure that our team has built over the last 5 years to have a very strong baseline to assist in the creation of or transformation of the economy in the Inland Empire based on innovation, sustainability, and inclusion. The next slide, please. So our Office of Technology Partnership will report to RED, and we have really 3 main areas of focus. One is associated with technology transfer and managing of intellectual property portfolio. The other one is around industry partnerships and negotiation of contracts with industry. And the third one is around innovation and entrepreneurship. For Oasis, to be successful, we need to have this robust infrastructure to help the innovators, not only on campus, our faculty, our students, our staff, but also entrepreneurs from the larger community. So I'm going to share some of the metrics that we have generated over the last few years, and look forward to getting more engaged with you over the next years in which we're going to work together. So the first one is our office negotiating the order of $5 to $7 million per year in industry contracts in research. That means in the order of more than 330 agreements that we negotiate from MTAs, NDAs, SRA service agreement. And last year alone, the team secured $6.4 million in industry-sponsored research. The tech transfer team has secured and managed a patent portfolio of over 200 patents, and UCR is the largest patent holder in the Inland Empire. We have a strong research portfolio, as we all know, and our faculty generates in the order of 50 to 70 invention disclosures per year. Now, we are not really happy of the level of engagement that we have with our faculty, so we are making an extra effort on reaching out to faculty to participate in this process. And I'm happy to say that last year we have 124 new faculty working with our office, trying to accelerate the translation of their research to society. Our patent portfolio is dominated by agriculture, technology, and engineering, but most of the royalty income is generated over 90% from the licensing of the Tango Mandarin. We spent around between $1.2 to $1.5 million per year in filing new patents and maintaining our existing patent portfolio. Now, I want to highlight one of the initiatives that we initiated a couple of years ago, and that also has a big impact, not only for our campus, but also for the US economy. We have a worldwide avocado germplasm, and because of the market pressures, a lot of the market is dominated by avocados from Mexico. So we partner with Erosemillas, a Spanish company, to help build a consortium, a global consortium of companies that will invest $2.5 million over the next few years to validate and secure the translation of this the germplasm to the market worldwide. The next one, please, Rodolfo. In our entrepreneurial activities, we have been also extremely active. We have been fortunate to secure over $22 million in external funding from the federal, the state, as well as from private support to support innovation and entrepreneurship. That means that over 200 entrepreneurial teams, faculty and students have been trained through the NSF I-Corps Innovar programs. That's over 600 students. we have recruited 15 expert entrepreneurs in residence, mentors, through our EPIC Small Business Development Center. We are the only center in the whole region that supports technology entrepreneurship. We have allocated close to $2 million in proof of concept grants that has funded 54 faculty projects. Now it's over 7,000, not 4,000, 7,000 students have been engaged in the last 2 years, primarily undergrads in our Blackstone Launchpad program. Over 600 projects and companies have been supported and received commercialization assistance through SBDC, 60% of those from UCR. 46 companies have been launched so far, 400 jobs have been supported, 25 companies are being incubated at Excite, an incubator that we manage, and 5 companies have been recruited in our life science incubator that recently opened at MRB. That has translated in over $60 million in capital raised in the region, a region that did not have venture capital until recently. And as well as we have a above average success rate in the securing SBIR and STTR grants. The next one, please, Rodolfo. So all of that activity has raised the profile not only of UCR, but of Riverside and the region in terms of an innovation hub. What you see here is 3 different reports from magazines highlighting Riverside as a place to be. And I want to actually mention particularly the article from Inc. magazine, where it says that Riverside, because of the efforts of UCR and all the activities that we have done through the years in supporting technology entrepreneurship, Riverside is one of Inc. magazine's top 50 search cities to start a business in 2020. So we're proud of where we are, and I think that we have a very good starting point to really go to the next level with Oasis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rosibel. And let me just add to that, that is not only the great numbers you show in all your accomplishments, but I want people to know that this has happened over essentially the last 5 years. So we have seen an exponential growth in this area, and we're looking forward to all what Rosibel's team is doing in that regard. So let me now focus a little bit more specifically on Oasis, the initiative that we are here to talk about. So we are facing a great moment, we all think, in the sense that our region, as we know, face many challenges, but we can transform many of those challenges in opportunities. And in fact, the conditions are right for us to bloom. We have in our county, which is one of the fastest growing counties in the nation, is projected to grow its population by 44% by the year 2050. And you can imagine all the opportunity and also the challenge that come to that. We are, as has been mentioned already by our provost and our associate vice chancellor, recognized for excellence in many areas, in particular air quality research, agriculture, natural resources, clean transportation, climate change, community health, and many more. These are only just a few of the ones in which we excel. And we talk about a little bit about sustainability, we talk about innovation, social inclusion is also part of the Oasis. And we're all very proud of the level that we have achieved in terms of social mobility and inclusion at our university. And this is a hallmark of the other public institution of higher education in the region. We work together with them, the community colleges, the Cal State School. We are all together in this, promoting our people and giving them the chances to succeed in life. As you may know, Riverside is a preferred city for millennial and minority entrepreneurs. In fact, many of our graduates stay in the Riverside area. The trouble is that they commute to find the job for which we have been training them. And so we want to create all those jobs in our area so people don't need to go to the coast to find those high-paying jobs. And again, you know, it's not only our diverse population, but this geography that we enjoy with so many climates, so many natural resources. We are set up to do great things. And what we're already doing in the Inland Empire alone, UCR generate, this was a study done by the Office of the President in the system, 20,000 jobs directly and indirectly, and more than $2.3 billion in output in our region alone. So what is Oasis? We see this as a big, broad initiative. It's not just a building, it's not just a research center, it's not just economic development, it's not just entrepreneurial. It's all of them combined and many more. And so we want to anchor these diverse stakeholders and leverage the strength and connection we have already and the relocation of CAR to our city and the connection we have with in many sectors, in particular with agriculture, environment, health, and community outreach. We want to share this space or this hub as a home for many research centers, but also community programs. We want to continue to incubate a startup company and provide the entrepreneurial training that we have been starting to do through the Office of Technology Partnership, strengthen our partnership with many initiatives related to workforce development in the area. We want to welcome the next generation of diverse research and business leaders, and in particular, provide opportunity, internship, and jobs for our students and our alumni. And most important, I want to emphasize on this, we really want to work together on this with the city, the county, the Chamber of Commerce, and other stakeholders in the region. This type of development, which involve economic development, do not take place unless we take a whole community approach to this. This is not just the university looking about what we can do to continue to improve our education, our research, our scholarly activity, but also integrating the community and work with the community and align as we are in a great moment again, and I'll show some of that in the next slide, with what the chamber, the city and the county and other stakeholders in the region are trying to do. So this is a conceptual set of elements. And in fact, I took this picture from one of the many that our consultant generated. I'll talk about our consultant in a second, but it's composed of several parts that will create a kind of an ecosystem and interaction. And we envision to have, of course, research facility, state-of-the-art, a laboratory, another type of facility, incubator space, training and public outreach space. Main component is industry collaboration and co-location on this side of company, visitor space, community space. And of course, to serve all these people, you also need to have office and you need to have retail space, you need to have food, you need to have restaurant, you need to have coffees where people can meet and mingle and interact in this, again, ecosystem that we are trying to contribute to. So why now? The time cannot be better. And you may be familiar with many of these initiatives that are taking place. There's this innovation district taking place in the city. And I put a link and we'll make this available on the right. If you haven't seen the video, the city generated, I encourage you to visit because it goes over some of the same thing we are saying today and how higher education is integrated in all economic development effort. Opportunity zones, the governor initiative on region race together at the state level. Congress has now reinstated, we used to call these earmarks, they're called now community project funding. And something unique, I think we will only see, I hope we will see more of them, but we will see only once in our lifetime, the Senate and the House at the federal level are almost fighting over a bill that you may have seen. It's called the U.S. Innovation and Competitive Acts in the Senate. It's called the NSF for the Future Act in the House. They're fighting to see who provides more support for NSF. And in both bills, which will be merged at some point, one important component is the creation of a new directorate within NSF, which will focus on translation and research and integrating and moving fast technology to serve the community. And then there's also some of the priority of the White House, which align very well with all our principles of racial equality, our interest in climate change, healthcare, how we want to contribute to the economy and immigration that affect certainly the whole country, but in particular our region of the state. And finally, unfortunately, many companies are definitely embracing diversity. They see universities as a way to diversify their workforce, and of course, they're very interested in sustainability. So we have to start somewhere, and the first step, kind of the low-hanging fruit, the first step we will do is what we call the Oasis Clean Tech part. And this will concentrate in some of the area that we have here in the slide. Mainly, this is to take advantage of the presence of CAR and the synergy that has already existed and already created not only with local stakeholders, but with companies that want to relocate to Riverside because of the presence of CAR and because of the presence, honestly, of UCR and most of the research we do. And so the first tenant of that initial, or some of the tenant, will be CISER, that's the Center for Environmental Research and Technology, University Extension, a startup incubator and accelerator space. We hope for Excite to move eventually to this facility. And crucial on this, so that this can success financially, so we need to be sustainable from a financial point of view, is the co-location of partner companies. And I just listed, and I know there are many more, and I don't want anybody to feel that I've been excluded, some of the areas of the technology and innovation that we will focus on this first, I repeat, only phase one of this much broader Oasis project. So to do that, we have engaged with consultants. Really, they are Bransford and Dunleavy, they are the overall developer consultant, and then Perkins and Will, that's an architectural firm. They have experience working with other UC campuses. They have experience working with many universities that have gone through similar projects, but as they will quickly tell you, and I know many of you have already met with them, and they will continue to meet with different groups on campus, every one of these initiatives is different. There has to be something unique. And we have been talking about sustainability, innovation, and inclusion to be the unique features of our plan. They are not here to provide a vision. They are here to help us redefine our vision. And of course, they will help us with a lot of planning and concept development. And finally, we really need their support to project the economic development and the partnership structure. Again, I want to emphasize that the financial aspect of this is very important, and we need their assistance to guide us through this process. Once again, and I like to say what the chancellor called this is probably phase one of phase one. These are not the consultant that will, for example, draft or design any building or anything. We will have to do another request for proposal for that. So this is the very, very beginning of what we're trying to do. So one of the things they're trying to help us is with the selection of a site for this phase one clean technology part. And they have done a great effort looking at 34 different sites. We consulted with the county, we consulted with the city, we consulted with real estate companies. So they identified 34 sites that are, I don't know if you can see in the screen, these are the blue dots on the map. And I want to make sure everybody sleep well. None of them is an ag location. I know there's some history of that. We don't want to over that, but none of these, we specifically stay out of that because that's a land that has a different purpose, and we respect that very much. However, there are things that we're looking at. We want to be in proximity to CAR. We want to be, of course, in proximity to campus, especially for the first of this step. We want to integrate with the city innovation district. The city is planning, a lot of change planning, electric public transportation. We want to be on that route. We want to be close to University Avenue and to this corridor that we all, the community, want to develop and to connect really downtown with our campus. We need a large space, so we lease at least 4 acres. And certainly, since this is only the phase one, we want the opportunity for future expansion. When you put all together and you go one by one of the side, there are not many options left. And the most likely location for this seems to be the one that I have marked on the map on the upper right corner. And you may recognize that is the front street is University Avenue. That is the space currently the building and the parking facility behind it occupied by University Extension. And we also have there the parking lot 50 and parking lot 51. This is a huge area. We're not gonna use it all for the first phase, but it's a great opportunity if we finally decide to go there, which seems to be the most likely location to start. Now, I told you about great news. This is the great news that we have. We have received from the state $15 million for site acquisition and preparation for phase one. This is either to buy land if we don't have a land that is owned by the university, or in the case of this land that I mark here, if that is the location where we end up, we already own that, but we still had to pay that building, which unfortunately would probably have to be demolished because it's not worthy spend money remodeling because of seismic consideration and so on. It will be too expensive. So preparing that, developing the environmental study and so on for the next phase is where this initial investment from the state that we are very thankful, in particular to Senator Roth and all the support of the community we have had to receive to help us really jumpstart this process. So I want to conclude with this. We're not alone. And as I say, this is crucial. That is something that we do with the community. And it's not only the city, it's not only our county, it's San Bernardino County. It's not only our university, it's the Riverside, community colleges, and the utility companies. You see there, Aerosemilla already mentioned by Rosibel, the Citrus Research Foundation, who built the BSL-3 facility in which we are doing research to cure the green disease, Regional Great Together, many other initiatives in the area, everything, everybody want to try to get together. These are some of the organizations and institutions that have supported us in our request for funding from the government. We're so happy that they're filling the screen. We don't have any more space to put stickers, but we make them smaller so we can put some more. And with the help of all of you, we will continue to attract partners on this. So with that, I want to stop share here. And Maricela, I think I see we have at this point 57 participants. It may be a little complicated to make all of them panelists. So perhaps what we can do is check on the chat if people want to put the question there, or if not, I will ask people to raise their hands. And when you raise your hand, we can allow you to talk and you can make your question to any of us. Thank you. And we are looking forward for this interactive part of the meeting. Okay, here we go. Go ahead, Francis.
Hi, thank you, Rodolfo, and thank you, Liz. That was really great and wonderful. I guess you guys can see me. I don't see my video, but I'll forge ahead. Do we have a sense of the timeline? So phase one, I know, we've got the $15 million. How long is phase one going to last? When it's fully built out, are we talking 10 years out, 20 years out?
Well, I think I can take this one. The consultant has a very intense timeline. So they are, what they had to deliver, the deliverable we asked for them are supposed to end in September, right, Rosibel, if you remember?
Yes, the first phase 0 is September.
Right, so in the process, so that's why we really have an urgency to decide on the side, because we will have to put another request for proposal for the next phase of phase one for the design and really construction. But before that, we need to do a lot of work about, environmental study, construction study, things that needs to be done. And we're already engaging with our campus architect and we're real estate on campus to facilitate that. So once all have been decided, and I don't know, we hope that perhaps early next year, we will have the next set of consultants and start working on this. It's a matter of securing the financial component and building. And then building a building, we're talking about perhaps a building of the size of MRB or something, perhaps even larger. That will take a couple of years to construct. So we are talking about, I hope in 2 years, 3, we will be done, but I don't know. I mean, I think. Now, this is only the physical part. The programmatic aspect of Oasis are already going on. And if we can go back to that, but I know there's one hand already. So let me go to that hand and then we can, if not, we can continue talking about the some of the things that are already going on in terms of programmatic activities.
Oh, okay, so just to clarify, by September, we think we'll have the site located. Is that the goal?
More than that, we will
Okay.
have a roundup vision
Okay.
for this first phase, suggestion from the consultant about how to finance and form,
Okay.
if we need to create a structure, and all what goes behind the scene about this
Okay.
time of
Okay.
activities.
All right, thanks.
Migri, I allow you to speak. I'm sorry I'm not making everybody a panel because there are too many people. That's great, but it will be too complicated to do so. So we can hear you, but unfortunately we don't get to see you. Migri? We cannot hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Liz, Rodolfo, and Rosibel. This is certainly very exciting and at the same time very timely. And I have two questions. One is, I know that there are many institutes are participating to this. And as UCR, what are the short-term and long-term goals that we have, or do we have any already set yet? And also the second question is, as a campus, do we have any focus topics, focus areas that we would like to contribute in this big, nice, a combo that many people are also participating? Thank you.
Liz, you want to take on this question?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Part of Mary developing the short-term and long-term goals is why we're starting with this town hall, that we very much want this to be a collaborative, inclusive process. And so in order for us to figure out what our community at UCR wants, we're engaging with multiple groups, including the public or the community like this, and we'll sort of put all this together. This sort of relates to Francie's question. This is a long vision. So there are some specific goals, I think that Rodolfo outlined nicely for phase one of phase one, right? Which is setting up the first building of what will look like what will be a new clean tech park. And then it's really up to us to figure out what we want to make it. I think that that part of the mission and the values of it are to be as inclusive as possible. And if I can, I see there's a Q&A. How do you see social inclusion being a part of this clean tech park? This is exactly it. If I can use a cell analogy, we don't want there to be a cell wall. We don't even want there to be a membrane. We're really trying to make things as porous as possible between UCR and the community writ large. So Rodolfo talked about, for-profit industry, but he also talked about government. He also talked about community engagement. And so how can we use maybe even some spaces in this new building to fully engage with the community and eventually draw them to our campus? This has been an objective of the campus since the last strategic plan. I imagine will continue as we move forward, but how do we invite the community to take part in the scholarship and the benefits of the scholarship that we develop here on campus? So this is the first step in trying to figure out those long and short-term goals. And then in terms of focus areas for the campus, we're thinking really expansively. We see a role for a lot of different groups. And again, this participation that we can figure out how we stage them in this much longer term vision for how UCR becomes a real leader in sustainability in the Inland Empire.
Okay, Barbara, I think you have a question about economic, but you may ask the question.
Sure, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you.
Oh, good. So it's sort of a two-part. I'm wondering if you're already looking at similar projects that are either being developed or have actively, begun operations at other UC campuses or in other communities across the country as models. And are you including, if you are looking at that, are you considering public-private partnerships or more of a traditional, you design it, bid, build it, and then see who comes?
Yeah. So, Rosibel, you want to talk about our interaction with Aggie Square, and then I can address the public partnership part.
You've been talking to Mark Romney, right?
Yes. So we actually, as part of the process of selection and identification of the consultants, we had actually a lot of conversations with different partners, including at the UC system. And yeah, Mark Romney was very helpful in even provide a reference, particularly for Perkins and Will, who is designing Aggie Square. But also part of the deliverables of the consultant is going to be really to look at potential, who, not only the business model, but who will be the potential partners, industry partners and corporations that because of carbon, because of UCR, most likely will want to be co-located with us at the Oasis Clean Tech Park. So it's very, and they will provide some recommendations around that.
And if I may, we're trying to keep a very open mind about this, and it certainly seems that public-private partnerships or the P3 model will be a big part of this. But at the same time, there could be opportunity at the state and federal level of finance, some of which may be specifically targeted to universities, and some we could be specifically targeted to not universities. So perhaps the creation of a nonprofit corporation is one tool of the many that we can exercise to have access to capital that may become available now. So at this stage, my first reaction is say, yeah, this will not be a traditional borrowing money and constructing a building as we did, for example, with MRB. This will be something that will be, the financial burden will be shared with others. And in part, that is why it's so important that we emphasize, that is why we are emphasizing co-locating with other tenants. We want tenants that we will be able to pay for the space that we develop.
Thanks so much.
Dave.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So I wanted to comment on the comment that you made about our students not staying within the Inland Empire. And so as you know, roughly 70% of our students commute, largely from areas, all over Southern California, but largely outside of Riverside County. And when they finish, I suspect that a lot of them continue to live at home, even after they finish college. And it's in large part because of housing costs and so on. And so I'm not sure the primary driver necessarily is looking for work in the coastal counties. It's probably more related to, just the sort of local conditions, within their families and so on. And so sort of added to that, having had a couple older sons that have recently gone through RUSD at the high school level, there's very little engagement, it seems like, still with UCR and RUSD. And honestly, just sort of anecdotally, there was very little mention of UCR in terms of counseling and things like that at the high school level. And so I would strongly recommend, if I didn't see RUSD or any other high school districts on your last slide where you had a bunch of partners, but if you're really wanting to increase the number of students that are more sort of local within Riverside County, and then retaining those students to help fill some of these jobs, I would strongly recommend better engaging, possibly in collaboration with the Office of Admissions, undergraduate admissions, better engaging with local high school districts, rather than continuing to recruit students outside of Riverside County and San Bernardino County.
Well, thank you. That's a great point. I think absolutely that's a great recommendation. We need to follow up on engaging also, not just with the community colleges and the Cal State, but also with the education district and at all levels. I agree. We do have the chancellor on the chat, and I'm very happy the chancellor was able to join. I'm a little worried now, because if I knew he was going to show, I would have prepared for this. But he says that most of the students live near campus, and what I was referring to is that many students after graduating stay near UCR, and for some of them is the lack of high-paying jobs, right? This is what we're trying to create. There are many workforce development initiatives. There has been a lot of hiring in the Inland Empire in the logistic industry. That's not really the kind of job we are behind. We are really, the job as the only public research university in the region is to create high-paying jobs, right? To help students prepare for the instruction that they receive in our campus that allows them to grow. So, but I agree completely with you that we should engage with the high school.
Can I add on to that, Rodolfo?
Yes, please.
Yeah, and thanks, Dave, for that. I really appreciate the reminder about our recruitment efforts on bringing students into UCR, which is certainly related to this. I think where Rodolfo and Rosabel are looking are sort of at the other end of our interest in, and I think obligation to make sure that our graduates from UCR have good, meaningful, high-paying jobs to go to. And I'll just tell you one anecdote about where students live and moving to the area. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to meet one of our younger colleagues who works at UCR, who lived in Fontana, I believe that's the community, and graduated from UCR, got a nice job at UCR, and eventually moved to Riverside to be closer to that job. So while we'd love to be able to employ all of our graduates, that's not really realistic. I think we're looking to expand the number of different options that we have for them in the community. And at least, my N of 1 survey shows that this person was willing to, come live in Riverside to be closer to that job. I also want to take the opportunity to answer a question that came in earlier in the chat from Catherine Borkovich about University Extension. And the answer to your question is that University Extension will be located in this new building.
Right. They will remain where physically, essentially, geographically where they are. I also see a comment from Matt Barr, director of CSER, and he reminds us that there's already an MOU signed between CAR, UCI, the Riverside United School District, and the community college, Riverside Community College District, to do training, job promotion, etc. So, as I say, there are so many things going on, and it's sometimes hard to keep track of all of them. But I think this is what it makes us also excited. Let's see. I don't know, Barbara. You still have your hand, or is from before?
Sorry, it was from before.
Okay, so I'm scanning the chat, and let's see. Francis said, can UCR do something about housing? In the past, the local market could handle it, but with housing price increasing fast, UCR should start considering how we can maintain affordable housing in Riverside. Well, great question. Certainly about my paycheck level. I wish, I don't know, Liz, if you want to comment, if the chancellor is available, I want to comment on that. I can easily invite him.
We'll let him stay. We'll let him stay anonymous. But it's a great point, and it's actually something we were just talking about actually yesterday. Riverside has been in a rather fortunate situation of having reasonable for California. I say that as someone who came from San Francisco and was pleasantly surprised by the housing prices here, but unreasonable certainly compared to the rest of the country. So we're very mindful of the fact that, as Rodolfo pointed out, Riverside is one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. People are moving here, which means that that's going to drive housing prices up. And so, there are no definite plans at this point, but I would say that we're absolutely keeping our eye on the market and thinking about what the implications might be for attracting faculty and staff. We built several thousand new units of student housing to be able to accommodate our students. And parallel with that, we want to be thinking about the effect on our employees, staff and faculty. So thanks for that reminder.
Question also just came in, Rodolfo. Anonymous attendee, has Oasis been integrated into the current version of the strategic plan?
I will
maybe. So the strategic plan is still in the planning phases. This is one of our efforts to gauge the campus's interest in making it a highlight. So I guess I throw the question back out to the group. I'm really looking for feedback from the campus community to see if we should make Oasis a cornerstone or a central part of what our plan will be moving forward. This has happened, is fairly new. I think it happened probably in tandem with as the strategic plan was being drafted. So we still have plenty of time to think about what role it should play. So we welcome the feedback and consideration of that.
And we're being reminded in the chat that in the preliminary draft, the first version that was written of the strategic plan, there is a mention to this type of development in the contribution to the public goods section of that plan. Someone asked about UCR invested in economic development staff. Well, that is part of the Office of Research and Economic Development function, and certainly within that, the Office of Technology Partnership led by Roosevelt, and that's what we also engaging with consultants to fill gaps in knowledge and things that we need to maintain. I feel substantially comfortable with the people we have on campus, and of course, always hiring more to help with this is great, but we know of the limitation of budget that we are suffering, so we had to be realistic about what we plan for.
Francis also has another question. ECR had bought and developed houses across from Andulka Park on Chicago. What is the status of that?
The status of that is just what you said, Francie. Let me see if I get the numbers right. I believe there are 20 odd houses on the property that UCR owns and leases. We have some staff and faculty living in them. And then there are 50 odd lots that are ready for development. And we're looking for opportunities for someone who could probably come in and think about how best to use that land. University, we're not realtors, so that's probably not our strong suit. And so we want to think about a way that we can maximize that investment to help the campus. So real estate is looking into it, and more to come on that.
One other question from Elliot Emmer. Hi panel, thank you for putting this meeting together. I work in development and have had several positive meetings with alumni who welcome the idea of Oasis. What can our alumni in industry do to help Oasis grow and be successful?
Rodolfo, may I comment?
Sure, I was going to call on you then.
Yeah, so actually there is in parallel of the efforts that we are engaging right now about the physical location of phase 0, phase 1 of Oasis, is one initiative called Oasis Innovations. And it's really about, it's all the programmatic content to really restart or accelerate the engine to help our entrepreneurs and innovators really build companies and solutions and engage the community around entrepreneurial training. So the alumni in industry will be fantastic to be engaged in that area, either as sponsors. We have a whole series of programs around for student support, for internship for our students around in sustainability areas, for pitch competitions led by the mayor of Riverside around sustainability and other areas of focus, as well as direct investing in some of the sectors that Rodolfo highlighted that we need to invest in proof of concept grants, as well as in really capital investment to get these companies and innovations up and going. So any of those opportunities are great for the alumni in industry to be engaged with us. And we're ready and we welcome those introductions right away.
Thank you, Rosibel. Here is a nice question from the Q&A box. Migri Oscar again, as she say, as an inventor faculty, how can we contribute and help for Oasis? Let me say something, and maybe Rosibel, you can comment for it. I think, Migri, one thing you can do is keep on doing all the great inventions that you do. Your innovation, your talent, that is a great asset, and that is already a big contribution. You know, we are restarting our chapter of the National Academy of Inventor on campus. We will launch that with probably a big celebration. Now that we will be able to get together, that will be a fantastic opportunity. And another thing you can do as a senior inventor is encourage your junior faculty to pursue their ambition and the desire to be entrepreneurial, to be creative, and to continue to contribute to it. Our faculty is fantastic, and so is our staff and students. You do all what we need. We're not shortage of talent and creation there. We need to find a way to better get that out not only to commercialize, but to solve many of the problems that we face in the region. Rosibel, you want to add something about invention?
No, the only thing I will add to what you said, I totally agree with what you said. And in particular, Miri is, of course, one of the fellows in the National Academy of Inventors, very much has a large portfolio around battery energy storage, as well as plastic recycling for energy storage. But what I would like to not only say that, but raise your hand to our faculty who want to be engaged. We are in the process of talking to many industry as well as for foundations and non-profit who want to work with our faculty in developing solutions around sustainability. Many of these companies are in this region, but also are outside the region, and we want the faculty, as you said, are our best, and our students are our best calling card. So we want them to be engaged, and we want to introduce them to these companies so we can have projects around sustainability with them. So let us know, and we'll introduce you.
Candice, you're allowed to speak. You are on mute.
Oh, I didn't have any particular question or comment. I just raised my hand because I wanted to be one of the faculty that would engage with corporations and stuff.
Fantastic. And we're taking note, and I really love that engagement that you're ready to raise your hand. Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
No problem.
Here's an anonymous question. I think this is for the provost. How do you see Oasis supporting or enhancing new majors and graduate programs? Great question.
Thanks. Good question. I don't know that we have any, sort of immediate plans, but we do see this as fully integrated with the educational work that we're doing. So, that we do have a sustainability major on campus, which I would imagine would be instrumental in partnering with, whatever comes out of these first phases of Oasis. I see internships, I see summer projects. Certainly for graduate students, I imagine that there are opportunities, not only in the labs of the faculty, among those who've raised their hands and who are willing to be, or interested in being sort of the inventor partners, but also in the actual business itself. There's a really interesting space here where that Rosibel and Rodolfo are putting together, which is the nexus of government, for-profit sector, the nonprofit sector, and the university. And sort of where all those Venn diagrams come together, as well as at the intersections, there are going to be all kinds of interesting opportunities for people to take the skills that they've learned in whether as undergraduates, master's students, or PhD students, and come and become partners here. So I guess I'll be encouraging Rodolfo to think about ways to deploy students, whether to bring them in as interns, whether to do PhD research assistantships, so that they can get exposure to all aspects of this development of this sort of brave new world of partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. There's a long question by Jed. You want to raise your hand and we allow you to do it, or if not, I'll read it. There you go.
Thanks. So my question is about how in the Riverside community, there are other private universities that have done a better job in some cases of positioning themselves as being engaged in the community. And I'm wondering if Oasis might be an opportunity for UCR to promote our existing and growing efforts to engage in the local community and recapture some of that public support.
Thank you. I think I can take on this. So, as you know, I've been only a year and or almost 2 years by now on campus. So I'm not fully familiar with things that have happened in the past. But I can tell you that in the time I've been here, we have been incredibly engaged with many local stakeholders. First, starting with government, right? With the city. I cannot count how many times we have met. We have met with the mayor. We have met with different official at the city level, and with the Chamber of Commerce, with the county. We have been extremely engaged. Now, there are a lot of other community organizations, and I probably would agree with you that we need there's a lot of activity, a lot of things going on, but we can do some more. And that is why we had one of the first meetings of the consultant world with some of those groups of individuals. They were all very excited to be called to this meeting. I'm sure we missed something, and we have been asking for people to suggest. So if you have a favorite organization, a favorite group that we think that we don't engage enough, please be part of this. Let us know. The consultants are very eager. We are very eager to meet with them and listen to everybody in the community.
So
I think Rosibel wants to add something.
Yeah, so actually there's another component that I'd like to highlight that we are in the middle of active. David Pearson and Joyce Patrona from our team have been, over the last, I would say 6 months, have been almost cold calling over 100 industry partners in the region, and really trying to engage with them directly and also listen to how we can bring that collaboration further. And there are some preliminary insights that I'd like to share with you real quick. And one of them, which is something that maybe we as a community can do, which is many of these companies, and these are manufacturers as well as R&D, medical technology companies. They don't know much about UCR and our capabilities. So they get very excited when they hear what we can do. So we need to do a greater job about that. But the other thing is that they all are looking for student interns. So this goes to what Liz was talking about. So they're looking for interns and they want to engage with the university. So whatever we can do to bring that profile up, there's hundreds of medium-sized small businesses that could benefit tremendously from working with UCR, and Oasis could be also one of those channels.
And of course, I was just answering the question from the point of view of community engagement, but at the research and technological level, there are plenty of examples. CISA in particular has a lot of collaboration with the city. There's something called the Innovation Corridor, Clean Mobility Grant, and many activities that they are already engaged. I was focusing on and I think that was the point of the question, focusing on the community engagement. Our research, again, is our strength. We are a research university. That certainly is our strength. And there's a lot of activities already going. And that's why it seems that we need to focus on something unfair. And we are focusing on clean technology because that's the aspect on which we have the most outreach in terms of research done so far. Not the only one, but the one that has been the most successful so far. I see there are questions coming up. Let's see. Actually, it was just a comment. We're reaching the time. We have 1 minute left. So before we conclude, I would like to give our provost and our associate vice chancellor a chance to say just a couple of last words, and then we will conclude this event. So
you go first, Rosibel.
No, I just want to thank all of you for the opportunity to participate, and please reach out to me or members of my team, and I look forward to working with you.
Please.
And I want to thank Maricela for helping to facilitate this webinar. And I also want to thank Rodolfo and Rosibel. There is an extraordinary amount of work that has gone on behind the scenes to get us to this point. And I just want to acknowledge all of that work and the way that they have reached out across campus, across town, across the county to bring people together to make this happen. So thank you for that. And then I have a charge for all of you on this website. This is the first town hall. There were about 60 people at the start. That's a very tiny proportion of our UCR community. So please go out, talk to other people about this, talk it up, sort of talk about it in your research groups, talk about it in your department meetings, talk about it with other staff and employees. We really need to have as much engagement from our own community at UCR as possible to help us shape the direction that this initiative takes. We would love to hear from you, and that's only going to happen with active engagement. Rodolfo and Rosibel have done such a wonderful job of thinking about the external partnerships, and I think it's my job to think about the internal partnerships and to make sure that all the different groups and disciplines on campus can see themselves in this very long-term project and can really help us to shape it in both the short, medium, and long term. So this is the beginning of many conversations. Rosabelle said, please reach out to her with information, or for those of you who want to raise your hands to participate, but also let us know how we can communicate with groups around campus to get this two-way feedback and conversation to help us to really fine-tune what Oasis looks like for the future of UCR. So thank you.
And with that, I think we are going to conclude. What a great opportunity could have been to have a lunch together now. So I hope you go and enjoy your lunch. I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to have a lunch together, sponsored by perhaps the provost of the chancellor office, and celebrate this. We're getting together finally again. We're going to see each other on campus. Let's continue with stuff. Thank you for your participation, and we'll be in touch. Goodbye.
Thank you.